Hey everyone, it's Jet back today with another achievement video, and today I'm going to show you how to get the achievement called Khaz Algar Safari. The objective is to catch every battle pet on Khaz Algar. Now there are 31 pets we have to catch scattered across all 4 zones. A lot of these pets can be secondary pets, and some can be found in multiple zones. I will state which ones those are. Now, this video might be a little lengthy, but I'll timestamp each one of these pets, give the coordinates in the description below on where I found them, and also make a macro if you want to use it. I'll also capture these in the most efficient order in the video, so you don't have to crisscross across the whole zone. Before we begin, make sure you have track pets on. That's very important. So make sure you have track pets on. That way you can see your pets on your mini map. You also can /tar here when you are in an area if you are having trouble locating a pet. And although it's not necessary, let me show you here. It is best to use a pet with Weakening Blow right here as an ability. That way you don't accidentally kill the pet you're trying to capture. We are using the Terrible Turnip, but there are a few other pets that have this ability that I'll put in the description below. Maybe you don't have the Terrible Turnip, but one of the other ones. So, with all that said, let's go catch some pets and knock out another achievement. Now, the first one that we're going to capture is called the Sandstone Mosswool. Now, this guy is located, you can find them all in Dornagal right here. All up in this area right here. And they're just fly around the city and you'll catch one. Now, this can also be a secondary pet. So, just to give you a heads up. So we're going to catch him and then head on to the next one. All right, this next pet that we're going to catch is called the Alabaster Stonecharger. Now, this little guy can be a secondary pet too. And we found ours right here in the Isle of Dorn. Now, they're usually located in any snowy parts of the Isle of Dorn. So up in the mountains here or in the mountains here. So if you don't find one here, make sure you look in the mountain regions and you'll definitely find one. So we're going to battle him and then head to the next. This next pet that we're going to capture is called the Followspark Glowfly. Now, we found this in Rambleshire, which is located right here in the zone. Now, this pet can be found in multiple zones and also can be a secondary pet. So we're going to capture it and then head to the next. This next pet that we're going to capture is called the Mossy Snail, and we caught ours here in the Isle of Dorn, right down here in this location. Now, these snails can be found anywhere along the coast, usually on the beach, so you can go just fly around the coast. You usually will find one, and you can battle it. Now, this can't be summoned as a secondary pet, and it can only be found in the Isle of Dorn. So we'll battle it and head to the next. This next pet that we're going to catch is called the Bedrock Stonecharger. Now, this guy is found all across the zone. We found ours right behind the Cinderbrew Meadery, right down here in this area. Now, this can also be summoned as a backline pet, so just keep that in mind. So we're going to capture it and head to the next. This next pet we're going to catch is called the Cinderhoney Emberstinger, and he is located... They are located right around the Cinderbrew Meadery, and it cannot be a backline pet. So just keep that in mind. You have to come here and find it. So we're going to capture this thing and head on to the next. This next pet that we're going to capture is called the Cobalt Ramolith, and it is located... We found ours right up in here in the Isle of Dorn. Now, this pet can be a secondary pet, and it's actually quite often that you'll find it as a secondary pet, but they're all over the place. So we're going to capture this and then head on to the next. This next pet that we're going to catch is called Troglofrog, and we found him right down here just in the Boulder Springs area on the shore of the water on the bank. So this pet is not Isle of Dorn specific. It can be found in multiple zones, and it can be a secondary pet. So we're going to capture him and then head to the next. The next pet that we're going to catch is called the Granite Ramolith, and we found the Granite Ramolith in the Storm's Watch, which is right here in this area. Now, these can also be found in the southern part of the map here in these grassy areas. So those are two places you can also find it. Now, this cannot be a secondary pet, so you're just gonna have to find it out in the wild. So we'll catch this and head to the next. This next pet that we're going to capture is called the Shale Mosswool. Now, the Shale Mosswool, we found it in Storm's Watch right here in this area, but it also spawns right down here in the Boulder Springs area and also right around this area right up in here. Now, if you're having a hard time finding these, they also get summoned as a secondary pet quite often. So we're going to capture this little guy and head to the next. And our last pet that we're going to catch in the Isle of Dorn is called the Fragrant Stonelamb. Now, this pet can be found in grassy areas all across the zone. We just happen to find ours right up in here. This also can be summoned as a secondary pet. So if you can't find it, you can find it as a secondary pet. So we're going to capture this pet right here and then head on to the Ringing Deeps. All right, so we made it to the Ringing Deeps, and the first pet that we're going to catch is called the Meek Bloodlasher, and we found this guy right down here in this area of the Ringing Deeps. Now, this pet right here, it can be found in multiple zones, so if you found him in the Isle of Dorn or somewhere else, you can capture him there. Now, this pet can be summoned as a secondary backline pet. So we're going to catch him and head to the next. The next pet we're going to catch is called the Azure Flickerfly. Now, we found this in the Waterworks area of the Ringing Deeps, right down here. Now, this can be found across several zones, so if you find it in another zone, you can just capture it there. Now, this can also be summoned as a secondary pet. So, we'll capture it and head to the next. This next pet we're going to catch is called the Vibrant Glowfly. Now, this pet can be found all across the zone, and it can be found in multiple zones, and it can also be caught as a secondary pet. So we found ours right here, just north of the Waterworks area. So we're going to capture it and head to the next. This next pet that we're going to catch is called the Ghostcap Menace. Now, this pet can be found in multiple zones. We happen to find ours right up here, just north of the Waterworks area, but they're all over the place. And you can also catch this as a secondary pet. So we're going to capture this and then head to the next. The next pet we're going to catch is called the Common Ploughworm. Now, we found this right up in here of the Ringing Deeps. It's the Iron Hall Station. This is basically the only place this pet can be found. Now, it can be caught as a secondary pet though, so you can find it that way. So we're gonna battle it, catch it, and head on to our next. This next pet we're going to catch is called the Ebon Ploughworm, and this is located in the Iron Hall Station, basically where you caught the Common Ploughworm earlier, and it's located right up in here. Now, this is basically the only place that this can be caught at. Now, it does summon as a secondary pet, so you can catch it that way also. So we're going to battle it, catch it, and head to the next. This next pet that we're going to catch is called the Magmashell Crawler, and we found ours in the Earthenworks, right up here in this area right here on a little island. So this can be found in multiple zones, and it can also be caught as a secondary pet. So we're going to battle it and catch it and head to the next. This next pet we're going to catch is called the Chitin Burrower, and we found it in the Shadow Vein extraction site, which is located right down here in this area. Now, this pet can be found in several zones, and it can also be caught as a secondary pet. So we're just going to catch it and then head to the next. The next pet we're going to capture is the Arachnoid Hatchling, and we found it in the Ringing Deeps right down here in this area right here. Now, this can be found in multiple zones, and it can also be caught as a secondary pet. So we're going to capture it and head to the next. This next pet we're going to catch is called Snuffling, and he is located in the Obsidian Hollow area. This is basically in this whole area you can find him. Now, be careful whenever you battle him, because let me show you here. He has a ability called sometimes he has an ability called Stone Rush, which he can kill himself. So just be aware of that if he's using it. Now, this can't be caught as a secondary pet. So we're going to catch him and then move on to the next. And the last pet we're going to catch in the Ringing Deeps, we found in the Living Grotto, which is located right down here in this area. And right here on the pond is where we found it. Now, it's called the Subterranean Dartswog. Now, this pet can be found in several zones and can also be caught as a secondary pet. So we're going to catch him and then head over to Hallowfall. All right, so we made it to Hallowfall, and the first pet that we're going to capture is the Arathi Chicken. Now, these Arathi Chickens, we found ours in Belladar's Bounty right down here in this area. Now, this pet is, it can be hard to spot sometimes because the spawn rate kind of sucks. But it can also be found as a backline pet. But where you want to search for this guy is anywhere they spawn around towns and farms. So that's where you can find the Arathi Chicken. So we're going to battle him and then head to the next one. This next pet that we're going to catch is called the Greenlands Chicken. Now, like the Arathi Chicken, these pets can be found around towns and farms across the zone. We found ours in Belladar's Bounty right down in here. And it can be caught as a secondary pet. So if you're having trouble finding it, you can maybe find it as a backline. So we're going to catch it and head to the next. This next pet that we're going to catch is not the Subterranean Dartswog, as we already caught that. But it's called the Umbral Amalgam. And the Umbral Amalgam spawns in very different places. Now, there's a light phase and a dark phase in this zone of Hallowfall. And they usually spawn right on corners, like right here and right up in here and here, like right here during dark and light phases. Now, you can fly around and try to find them. It's pretty tricky, pretty difficult, but the best thing to do is try to find them as backline pets because you can find them on backline pets from everyone across the zone. Now, I'm going to use it right here, and you'll notice that he's right here. Now, be careful because when he has that ability, Shadow Shock, then it can kill itself. I'm pretty sure. So, just be careful on that. So, we're going to catch this Umbral Amalgam as a backline pet, and then head to the next. And the last pet we're going to catch in the Hallowfall is the Wing Arachnoid. Now, we found this right here at the Aegis Wall, right down here, but they're all across the zone. In fact, you can find these in several zones, several different zones. And it can also be a backline pet. So, we'll capture this and then head down to Azure. Okay, so we made it to our last zone, Azure, and our first pet that we're going to catch, we found right down here in the crawling chasm. It's called the Aubergine Scootlefish. Now, this pet is usually found around different waters across the zone, around the waters area, and it can also be caught as a backline pet. So we're going to catch this and then head to the next. This next pet we're going to catch is called the Verdant Scootlefish, and this can be found around the water areas in the zone. We found ours right down here in the Silken Ward, and it can also be caught as a backline pet. So we're going to catch it and then head to the next. This next pet that we're going to catch is called the Vile Blood Tick. Now, this pet here, we found it right up in here in the Twitching Gorge. Now, it also spawns, it can also spawn right down here in this area. We went down here first, couldn't find any, so we found ours right here up in this area right here. So, this can also be caught as a backline pet. So we're going to catch it and then head to the next. This next pet that we're going to catch is called the Voidling Ooze. Now, the Voidling Ooze can only be caught in the Maddening Deep, which is located right down here in this area. Now, when you come down here, you won't be able to see this pet to capture them unless you get 5 stacks of the Unseeming Shift debuff here. Now, how you get this debuff is you just want to stand in pools of water here, this blood pool, and you'll notice you'll get the Unseeming Shift buff. So we're going to catch this guy and then head to our last one. And the last pet that we're going to get is called the Shadowy Oozeling. Now, just like the Voidling Oozeling, this can be only caught in the Maddening Deeps, and you're going to need 5 stacks of the Unseeming Shift buff. So we're going to capture this, and when we do, then we'll get all 31 pets for the Khaz Algar Safari, and that's how you complete the achievement. So I hope this video helped, and good luck with your pet collecting and achievement hunting.